Hello. I hope everyone is doing well on this beautiful day. It is the the 14th of February and it is Valentine's Day. And I thought this was an appropriate time for me to just share a little bit about my story. For those of you all who don't know, I am Michelle Mickens. I do go by and my business is Live for Change. Live for Change is a consulting firm, a global consulting firm that focuses on sustainability and organizational development. And so, what I do is, I guess if I had to select a title, I would say that I am a global strategic sustainability consultant and coach. And I primarily help businesses, small or large, focus on how to incorporate sustainable practices and to develop systems and processes that actually complement their existing vision and their business strategy, but also to consider corporate social and global social responsibility initiatives. So I will sit down with someone and I will evaluate and assess what their needs are, where they are currently, and my motto is just helping them to transition from where they are now to where they like to be. I work with leaders. I work with leadership development. I work with coaching leaders. Again, the focus is how to become more sustainable in terms of making a profit, but also to protect the planet and protect people. And that's people of all walks of life, especially your employees and those who follow you, those who trust you, and those who look to you for guidance. Our goal as leaders is to be available, to be accessible, to be a guide, to be a teacher, to be an aid. And again, everything is centered around sustainability, whether we want to admit it or not. And sustainability is a simple concept that has tremendous impact. And many started off believing that sustainability was only in reference to the environment and how well we treated the environment. But it extends beyond that. It is about the planet, it is about the people, and it's definitely about making a profit. And so the coined phrase is the triple bottom line, and it is a fantastic business strategy when you think about it, because everything that we do is centered around those three things. I add another layer to it because I am a Christian. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and He is the center of my life. And as a matter of fact, Live for Change is all about how we change ourselves. How do we change our mindset? How do we look at life and how do we maximize the quality of life that we live? And so, not only is Live for Change about making a transformational change individually and within yourself, but also in the world in which you impact. We are here for a purpose. And so that's what I believe, that's what I know. And I was created by God for a purpose greater than myself. My vision is greater than myself. But today I wanted to share a little bit about my story. Um, I understand that it's important for people to know. I keep using the word understand, but people need to know, who are you and why do you do what you do? And um, I can say this. It's interesting how my life started to take shape. I know that when I was in kindergarten, I think this is when I realized and had one of those epiphany moments. And I already have a YouTube video out called the aha moment that Omaha Insurance Company had done a few years back. And although my little segment was not selected, they allowed me to keep the video clip that talked about my aha moment. And I'll reiterate that now because it rings so true to why I'm doing what I do. I care about people. And when I was in kindergarten, there was a little girl who, for whatever reason, she had no control over her environment. But this young lady This little girl actually, she would come to class. She would come to school late. She would come tattered. She would come disheveled. She sometimes had an odor, and no one wanted to be bothered with her. But even as a little girl, I had this Red Baron, Red Robin kind of spirit. And, you know, I had an awesome kindergarten teacher who allowed us to be table leaders. And when my turn came, my goal, my mission was to recruit this little girl to be a part of my team. And I did that. Now, let me share this too. This little girl was not a nice little girl. She was mean. Yeah, she was mean. But it didn't bother me. I really didn't care. I guess in another segment, I'll talk about the fact that I had a little bully in me. I had this "you're gonna love me" kind of spirit, and I won't say that she ever did love me, but one thing she knew was I had her back. When we were out on the playground, I dared anybody to say anything about her. I dared anybody. If I thought they were going to mess with this girl, I was right there. And so that told me a lot. It told me that, looking back, because I didn't know it then, but I knew that I always cared about the underdog. I always cared about the underdog. And so let me share that I have over 20, 22 years of nonprofit management. And what I also realized, again, this is one of those retro, retrospective occurrences. I realized that I've always wanted to help people in some capacity. Within this 22-year period, I've also accepted the calling to minister and to, deliver the word of God because I was raised as a Christian young lady. And, despite all of my challenges, I never gave up my belief in the Lord and my faith in God because I've seen too much and I've seen Him alive and operative in my life. So, looking at these 22 years of being in the nonprofit sector, I knew that this is part of my calling to find a way to assist people to achieve their goals. I was an executive director within that 22 years. As a matter of fact, for 12 years, I was a nonprofit executive director. And prior to that, I was a project manager, and then even before then, a branch manager for a consumer credit counseling service. And so, again, I have a history, I have a track record of helping people. But in my position as an executive director, there were some things that I began to see that pulled at my heart. And I served in a low income neighborhood, and I would see a lot of, you know, dilapidated houses, and a lot of the homes were hodgepodge, meaning there was no significant theme. Every street, every area had its own meaning, had its own personality, and all of that was great because that's what community is about. Community is not cookie cutter. But I saw a lot of hopelessness in the faces of the people that I served. And I, had a small staff, and one of the things that we would talk about is development. I have a background also as a real estate developer. But what I realized was that developing homes is not enough. But that was definitely a step to give people all the bells and whistles that they could find in some of the upscale neighborhoods. We tried to provide in the lower income neighborhoods. And that had a lot of impact, and it was a positive impact. But there was some negative impact as well. And one of the things that I also saw was that we had major industries that were centered, and this is common in the central city. But when these industries left, what they did was they also left behind all of the adverse impact to the environment. The air quality was poor. The soil was poor, the water poor, our infrastructure, our physical infrastructure in the inner city was very poor. And then you're talking layering that with lower income households. And so a lot of females, single female head of household that just did not have the means to create a better quality of life for their family. And so we did other things. We started to embrace sustainability. I want to continue what I was saying about building green. This is, I guess, take two of the first video clip that I was where I was talking about sustainability and using green materials as I developed homes. And I just want to kind of tie up because I don't want to spend a plethora of time talking about the development piece, but I will say that it all ties into the reason why sustainability is so critical to me. There is a gap when it comes down to resources and access to resources. We're talking about equity. We're not just talking about, equality. You have to have a fair playing field to start off with before you can become equal. And in the lower income neighborhoods, and this is throughout any urban environment, any urban area, you will see clear discrepancies. And one of the things that would bother me to no end was in the inner city where I served, there were, you could find a ton of convenience stores. And I always said the inconvenience of convenience because in these stores, you could buy alcohol, you can buy anything that has no nutritional value. So you talk about food deserts. Those were deserts because you were deserted of an opportunity to purchase healthy food. So one of the things in my neighborhood, we would buy up a lot of the vacant lots because we were trying to avoid having a lot of absentee owners and absentee landlords buy up our property because it was so cheap to buy and they would just sit on it and not develop it. Or if they did, they would charge crazy amounts for rent or whatever. They were just absentee. So, one of the things that we did was we had this lot that we could not build any houses on. It was a 2 acre lot. And so we opted to do an urban agriculture project, a sustainable agriculture project. And the main reason was because we had so many stores, convenience stores. Now we had two grocery stores, but the produce was suspect. You weren't sure how fresh and how long the produce sat in the stores. Even some of the convenience stores had fruits and vegetables, but they may be rotting on the inside and real shiny on the outside. And that was the case even with the grocery stores. Some of the fresh produce, fresh, but I say that sketchingly because they were pre-wrapped. And so anytime you're pre-wrapping the food, you immediately diminish the quality. So those were some of the things that concerned me. And I knew urban agriculture was taking off in a tremendous way. So that's why we did urban ag. I would love to talk more about my story. Again, I'm Michelle Mickens. My business is Live for Change. And I do hope to talk to you guys very soon. Take care.